So in the way of history, and give background for folks who might be wondering about this, state law, and I can give you the specific ones if you really want to know them, requires Thurston County to develop a written plan that guides management activities for septic systems in the county. The plan must specify how we will develop and maintain an inventory of septic systems within the county, identify areas where septic systems could pose an increased public health risk. There might be significant factors contributing to water quality problems such as shellfish downgrades or groundwater pollution. Identify operation and maintenance and monitoring requirements that are commensurate or have a relationship to the risks posed by the septic systems in those special areas. The plan asks us to enforce septic system permit requirements, including monitoring and maintenance and working to find and repair failing septic systems. The plan says that we need to, or the rules say that we're supposed to develop a methodology for establishing special areas or marine recovery areas, and those are areas where septic systems, again, might be causing impacts on shellfish harvesting. We need to develop a database and a strategy for keeping records associated with all those special areas. And as in inventory septic systems, we need to help educate homeowners regarding their responsibilities for monitoring and maintaining their septic systems. And we also have to have a system in place to remind and encourage homeowners to complete their operation and maintenance inspections. So that's all required by state law. As one of the people earlier said, we actually have a plan that was adopted by the Board of Health in 2008. And that was developed by a stakeholder group with a variety of interests. Again, that was approved by the Board of Health on January 7th of 2008. However, things have changed since then. And a few years ago, we came to the Board of Health and said, is this something that you have an interest in having us look at to see whether or not it should be updated? And the board said, yeah, things have changed. The special areas that were identified in that plan, Henderson and Nisqually, lots of the work has been done there. There might be other areas that need attention. Data management records, and there's been a lot of things that have changed. And so the board said, yeah, that's something that's worth pursuing. And so we were fortunate to be able to get a grant, to be able to convene a stakeholders group of 14 different folks to look at what was in the plan and whether or not it needed to be updated. And actually I feel fortunate, one of our committee members is here. So Josh talked earlier about his involvement with the committee, and there were again 13 other folks who participated, and they worked from the end of 2013 through the middle of 2014 to learn about septic systems and monitoring and maintenance and all that sort of good stuff and state rules. And they also looked at the existing plan and data for the county, and they identified a list of things that they say need attention or that we could improve on. And so that's what was put into the draft on-site management plan that was then shared with the public, actually throughout the whole process, but we've had special public outreach efforts last year and a good chunk of this year. And so some key things that the plan identifies, or the things that need attention according to the folks who worked on it. It includes recommendations for improving our electronic records. We're trying to get away from managing things with paper, and we're trying to do things electronically, both to make it easier and more efficient for us, but to make that information available to members of the public. Because if you know about your septic system and you know it was last pumped and maintained and all that sort of stuff, you can do a better job monitoring and maintaining it. It recommends that we do a better job or provide additional services for septic system owners, like education and outreach, providing technical assistance, making sure that information is available on our website. Some folks here talked earlier today, and looks like most of them didn't come back. They said, oh, gosh, there's information available on the website. I think I could maintain my system if I had the right information. Well, there's lots of information on the website. A lot of it's good, some of it's not so good. And so one of the things that we would be trying to do is help people provide classes and make sure that they have accurate information so they can make good choices about monitoring and maintaining their systems. It has recommendations for additional sensitive areas. There's marine water quality in Eld Inlet is declining some. There's concerns about Summit Lake. They have recommendations for doing evaluations of those areas and perhaps having them become special areas with more intensive monitoring and maintenance requirements. And the thing that most people seem to be most concerned about is the recommendation in the plan to charge a fee to all septic system owners via the property tax statement to pay for it, and to split these costs up amongst everybody in the county and to charge that via the property tax statement. And the thing that the committee thought would be a good, or help folks would be to actually use this charge and to help fund education and outreach and monitoring and maintenance activities, but also to replace some fees and charges that are currently on the books. And so, for instance, if you're a septic system owner in Thurston County, and you sell your septic system, there's something called the time of transfer report. You have to pay $210 to the county and submit information to us. And also when you get your septic tank pumped or monitored, you have to turn in a report. There's a charge for that, that's $15. If you have a complex septic system that requires monitoring and maintenance by a professional, it requires a renewable permit. There's a charge for that. This fee would replace those charges. The charge would also replace the charges and fees that are in place for Henderson and Nisqually. It would take those off the books and put a new charge in place. And so that's what they recommended. And originally the advisory committee suggested that be a flat charge, that everybody in the county pay the same rate, whether you're down in Rochester or Tenino, or whether you live up on the tip of Cooper Point. After consulting with the Board of Health and with legal counsel, it was suggested that a tiered structure, one that establishes charges that are, I guess, commensurate or that are equivalent to the services and activities within the area of the county where they'd be served would be better. And so we developed a tiered charge structure that was then shared with the public. And it's based on that map over there. I'm sorry we didn't put one online, but it breaks the county into 3 chunks. The green area in the southwest corner of the map is the Chehalis watershed, that kind of orange color, or kind of orangish color in the middle is watersheds that drain to Puget Sound. And the purple bluish area in the northwest corner of the map, or the north part of the county, are the Henderson and Nisqually areas that are marine recovery areas where they have, there's more intensive monitoring and maintenance, and there'll be a higher charge for that area, a medium charge for the orange zone, and the lowest charge for the green zone in the southwest portion of the county. And the idea, again, behind the plan was to use the resources to replace those fees and charges I mentioned, but really the goal of it are to, again, try to prevent, identify, and correct failing septic systems. And that doesn't mean that the county is going to go out there and do all that, but rather to provide tools to people so that they can have them monitored and maintained, to identify problems while they're small, but to make sure that if they do have problems, to try to get those fixed, because there are public health and water environmental problems associated with failing septic systems. The other benefits are, again, to educate and inform and assist property owners so they know how to monitor and maintain things, to know what to look for, to help them be wise consumers when they're buying services from professionals. To create an inventory of septic systems, and to make sure that the septic system owners then get the information they need to monitor and maintain their systems, because different system types have different requirements and needs. There's complex ones, there's simple ones. And while we know we have a pretty good inventory of where all the septic systems are in the county, we don't necessarily know what type each one is. And so that's something that the plan or a benefit to that. And again, it may not seem like much until you're out there digging around in your backyard and you're wondering what you got and you how to maintain it. So that's the sort of information we try to provide. Provide staff to provide assistance to members of the public, folks who have septic systems. And that provides resources to do some more monitoring to help protect water resources and reduce exposure to sewage from failing systems. And again, I mentioned, and also part of this is to provide some assistance to folks who, have the unfortunate eventuality, but have a failing system. What can they do to maintain it? Can they troubleshoot it? Maybe where can they find funds if they need to get a loan to replace it? So that's the sort of thing that the plan would fund. So again, I mentioned that the Board of Health directed us to develop a tiered charge structure, and it bases the charges on the geographic location of the system, and it funds the work that we anticipate is needed to implement the plan in that area. And I mentioned briefly how the charges are structured. The information that we shared with the public was that the largest charge, the one for the septic systems in the Henderson Nisqually area, would be $66 a year. The orange zone, or the middle part of the county that drains to Puget Sound, and it may not seem like it, but down there in the southeast portion of the county in the Deschutes watershed, that drains to Puget Sound, so that's where that charge would also apply. That would be $44, and then $22 for the lowest charge in the Deschutes watershed. And those were preliminary figures. If the plant board chooses to adopt the plan, we would need to refine those numbers because, again, this was preliminary budget stuff. I mean, I've done a lot of that work, and I think actually the numbers would be lower, but we would need to provide that information to the board for consideration at a public hearing, and then they would have to consider the final rates if that's, charges if that's what they want to do.